There is a general belief that when it comes to terrorism in Kashmir, it all began in the 1990s. And the general population of our country also is of the opinion that Pakistan resorted to state sponsorship of terrorism only from the 1990s. However, in today's video, I will try to explain that this is not so. Primarily because if you try to analyze the covert relationship between India and Pakistan and try to examine the origins of the terrorism between the two, you will be surprised to know that the terrorism goes back to 1950s itself. And in today's video, I want to discuss with you all one specific episode of something called as the Master Cell, which many people in our country are not aware of. Master Cell is one of the organizations that was created by the Pakistanis in the 1960s and had played a very instrumental role in the terrorism of Jammu and Kashmir. But before we come to the story of Master Cell, let's understand the larger context behind it. It was way back in 1964 that the ISI of Pakistan, specifically after the death of Nehru, they realized that now is the time to create a new wave of terrorism in the Kashmir Valley. In order to do so, what the Pakistanis at that time tried to do was that they created a student youth league. This was a very specific named body that was created by Pakistan. If you look at the name, the Student Youth League, it does not appear that it is a terrorist group, but it was. And it was under the leadership of two specific people. One was Rahmatullah Khan and the second was Mia Ghulam Sarwar. These two people who were recruited by the ISI, part of the Student Youth League, they were instructed by the ISI to go to the universities in Kashmir, engage with the students and try to incite the students for a rebellion against India, against the Indian government in Kashmir, against the armed forces in Kashmir. The Student Youth League created that foundational network. It created a specific set of overground workers inside the Kashmiri universities, and we have those overground workers and their successive generations in Kashmir active till today. The Student Youth League tried to incite the Kashmiri students who were studying in different colleges and universities, not just in Srinagar, even outside Srinagar. And they were all told to incite and create a rebellious situation so that in the future, if Pakistan is to support them, they will play an active role in separating the Kashmir territory from India so that it could be merged with Pakistan. When Shastri took over as the Prime Minister, Pakistan had some misconceptions about his own ability. Pakistan thought that probably just because he looks a little frail, Shastriji would not be able to give a strong response to Pakistan, though they were highly mistaken because of the response that they got in 1965 was something unexpected that they could never even think about. But when Shastri took over, at that time Pakistanis, they believed that probably he is a weak prime minister and this is now a time period for us to expand the Student Youth League. So after the death of Nehru, when Student Youth League was formed and Student Youth League was doing radicalization in the Kashmiri universities, the next step came now gradually, and the Student Youth League was now turned into what is called as the Master Cell. So the Student Youth League, when it became the Master Cell, was now used for a much larger canvas. Why? Because when the Master Cell was formed, Master Cell had various sub-units under it. One of the first unit was Student Cell. The Student Cell, which was a part of the Master Cell, was responsible for carrying out strikes in colleges and universities. There was another cell called the Poster Cell, which was a part of the Master Cell. It was to basically recruit different printing presses in Jammu and Kashmir region so that they would put up posters of rebellion throughout the Kashmir Valley. And then came the NaRa Cell. NaRa is basically a very famous locality in Srinagar. It is a locality where government servants live. And at that time, way back in 1960s, we had the PWD, Public Work Department employees living there. These PWD employees played a very important role because at that time in 1960s, government of India, specifically after 1962 India-China conflict, was trying to aggressively create some infrastructure in the valley. And NaRa was the place where PWD employees were living. ISI thought that through the Master Cell, they could create a and a subunit of that called the NaRa Cell, we will try to provoke the PWD employees who would plant bombs on different infrastructure projects under construction or already constructed and blow up all that infrastructure when we ask them to do so. The next one was basically called the Infiltrator Cell. Infiltrator Cell was basically a cell where members from Pakistan would cross over, infiltrate the ceasefire line, enter into the Indian territory, and inside the people, inside Kashmir, and then compel them to create a violence culture so that Kashmir would be into flames. And this entire master cell was basically the background before the 1965 Indo-Pak War. So before the 1965 Indo-Pak War, this master cell played a very important role in the Kashmir Valley. And now this master cell had created those kind of conditions where Pakistan thought that such a rebellion in Kashmir would provoke the Kashmiris to rebel against India and motivate them to leave India and migrate all the way to Pakistan. However, when the India's intelligence bureau got to know about the activities of the master cell, they adopted various counter-terrorism measures. They decapacitated every single sub-cell from student cell, poster cell, NaRa Cell, Infiltrator Cell, and even before master cell could do any damage to our country, and more specifically in Jammu and Kashmir region, this entire master cell was broken down and its activities could not succeed. I hope through this video you got a deep insight about the fact that Pakistanis have always played a dirty game against India, but we also played a counter-terrorism role to deny them the opportunity to do so. Thank you.